Many older adults spend time and effort training their glutes every day, yet still feel like nothing is changing. If that sounds familiar, the issue may not be your effort at all. It may be the way your body is positioned when you move. One of the most overlooked reasons for poor results is something called anterior pelvic tilt. This simply means the pelvis is slightly tipped forward, which can quietly interfere with how your muscles work together. When the pelvis is out of alignment, the glutes are placed in a weaker position and cannot fully engage. Instead, other muscles such as the lower back and the hip flexors begin to take over. Over time, this creates a pattern where you are working hard, but not effectively. You may walk more, squeeze harder, or add more repetitions, yet still feel that your glutes are not responding the way they should. This is not a sign that your body is failing. It is a sign that your body is compensating. And that is an important difference. Because once you understand this, the solution becomes much clearer. It is not about doing more. It is about doing things in the right order and with the right alignment. Now that we understand how alignment can limit results, there is something even more important to recognize. Weak glutes are not just about how the body looks. They play a direct role in how the body moves, how stable you feel, and how safe you are in everyday life. As the glutes become weaker, simple activities can begin to feel more difficult. Standing up from a chair may require more effort. Walking may feel slower or less steady. Climbing stairs can become something you hesitate to do. These changes often happen gradually, which is why many people do not immediately connect them to glute strength. But the connection is there. Research has shown that reduced strength in the muscles responsible for extending the hips is associated with slower walking speed and a higher risk of losing balance. Falls are one of the most common causes of injury in older adults. And the muscles around the hips play a key role in helping the body stay upright and respond to sudden shifts in movement. This is why the goal is not simply to build stronger muscles for appearance. It is to support your ability to move with confidence. Strong glutes help you stay steady when the ground is uneven, help you recover if you trip, and allow you to move through your day without hesitation. When you begin to see exercise in this way, it becomes less about looking younger and more about living better. This content is for general educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. When you begin to connect glute strength to how you move and feel each day, another important idea becomes clear. Many people believe that getting weaker over time is simply part of aging and that there is very little they can do about it. While it is true that the body naturally loses muscle as the years go by, that is not the full story. This age-related muscle loss, often referred to as sarcopenia, can gradually reduce strength and stability, especially if the body is not being used in a consistent and purposeful way. However, this process is not fixed. The body remains highly adaptable. Even later in life, with the right kind of training, muscles can still respond, rebuild, and become more supportive. The key difference is not intensity, but intention. When exercises are performed with proper alignment, control, and consistency, they send a clear signal to the body to maintain and rebuild strength. This means that even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, it is still possible to improve how you move and how stable you feel. This shift in perspective is powerful. Instead of feeling like strength is something that fades no matter what you do, you begin to see that your daily actions still matter. Small, consistent efforts can lead to meaningful improvements over time. You are not trying to turn back the clock. You are learning how to support your body in a smarter way. This content is for general educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. As you begin to understand that your body can still adapt and improve, it becomes important to look at what may be holding you back on a daily basis. One of the most common and often overlooked factors is how much time we spend sitting. Modern life encourages long periods of sitting, whether it is during work, driving, or resting at home. Over time, this habit can quietly change how your muscles function. When you sit for extended periods, the muscles at the front of your hips, known as the hip flexors, begin to tighten and shorten. This may not feel obvious at first, but it has a direct effect on how your body moves. As these muscles become tighter, they can interfere with the ability of your glutes to fully activate. This is part of a natural process where one group of muscles limits the function of another. As a result, even when you try to engage your glutes during exercise, you may not feel them working as expected. Instead, other areas such as the lower back or the front of the hips begin to take over. This creates a pattern where the body continues to rely on the wrong muscles, reinforcing the problem over time. This is not just about strength. It is about coordination and balance between different muscle groups. Once you recognize how daily habits influence your body, it becomes clear that improving movement is not only about exercising more, but about addressing the root cause in a thoughtful and consistent way. Once you recognize how daily habits like prolonged sitting can interfere with muscle function, the next step is understanding how to rebuild proper movement in a way that actually works. This is where many people feel confused, because they try different exercises without a clear plan and often end up repeating the same patterns that caused the problem in the first place. The body responds best to a structured and thoughtful approach. Instead of jumping straight into strengthening, it is important to follow a specific sequence that prepares the body step by step. First, you create space by gently releasing tight areas, especially around the front of the hips. Then, you begin to wake up the glutes through simple activation movements. After that, you build stability by strengthening the muscles that support balance. Finally, you retrain how your body moves in everyday activities so the improvements carry over into real life. Each step has a purpose, and each one supports the next. If you skip the early stages and go straight to more demanding exercises, the body will often fall back into old compensation patterns. This is why some people work hard but still feel stuck. By following a clear and consistent sequence, you give your body the opportunity to relearn movement in a safer and more effective way. Progress becomes more noticeable, not because you are doing more, but because you are doing things in the right order. Now that you understand why sequence matters, we can begin with the first and most important step. Before you try to strengthen the glutes, you need to create the conditions that allow them to work. For many people, that begins with releasing tension at the front of the hips. Over time, tight hip flexors can gently pull the pelvis forward. When this happens, the glutes are placed in a position where they cannot fully engage. Even if you try to squeeze them, the movement often comes from the lower back or other surrounding muscles instead. This is why many strengthening exercises feel ineffective. The goal of this first step is not intensity. It is awareness and space. A simple way to begin is with a gentle stretch in a half-kneeling position. One knee rests on the floor while the other foot is placed in front. From here, sit tall through your spine and slowly shift your hips forward just a small amount. You should feel a light stretch at the front of the hip on the side of the knee that is down. It is important to keep the movement controlled. Avoid arching your lower back or forcing a deep position. A mild and comfortable stretch is enough. As you hold this position and breathe slowly, you allow the muscles to relax and lengthen. This step may seem simple, but it prepares your body for everything that comes next. This content is for general educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Now that you have created more space at the front of the hips, the next step is to gently wake up the glutes and begin building real strength. This is where everything starts to come together. And one of the most effective ways to do this is with a simple movement called the glute bridge. The glute bridge is often recommended because it allows you to activate the glutes without placing unnecessary stress on the lower back. It is a controlled and supportive position, which makes it especially suitable for older adults or anyone returning to exercise after a long break. But the way you perform it matters more than how many times you repeat it. Begin by lying comfortably on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Your feet should be about hip width apart and close enough that your fingertips can lightly reach your heels. From here, take a slow breath in. As you exhale, press through your heels and gently lift your hips toward the ceiling. Focus on where the movement comes from. You want to feel the work in the back of your hips, not in your lower back. Lift only until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Pause briefly, then lower down slowly with control. Move with intention. Avoid pushing through your toes or lifting too high. This is where strength begins to rebuild, one steady repetition at a time. Now that you have started to rebuild strength through the glute bridge, The next step is to support your balance by strengthening a smaller but very important muscle on the side of the hip. This muscle helps keep your pelvis steady when you walk, stand on one leg, or shift your weight from side to side. When this area is weak, the body may begin to feel less stable without you even noticing it at first. Your hips may gently drop from side to side as you walk. And over time, this can place extra strain on the knees, the lower back, and even the ankles. This is why strengthening this muscle is not about appearance. It is about helping your body stay upright and controlled during everyday movement. A simple way to begin is by lying on your side with your legs stacked on top of each other. Keep your body in a straight line and allow your head to rest comfortably. From this position, slowly lift your top leg a short distance, keeping your toes pointing forward and your hips steady. The movement should feel controlled and focused on the side of your hip. It is important not to rush or lift too high. Small and precise movement is enough to activate the right muscles. As you lower your leg with control, you begin to build stability that supports everything else you do. Now that you have created space, activated the glutes, and built stability at the hips, the final step is to bring everything together into a movement that reflects how your body functions in daily life. Strength on its own is not enough. The body also needs to learn how to use that strength in a coordinated and natural way. This is where the kneeling hip thrust becomes especially valuable. It teaches your body to generate movement from the hips instead of relying on the lower back. Over time, many people develop habits where the lower back takes over during actions like standing up, walking uphill, or climbing stairs. These patterns may feel normal, but they can place unnecessary stress on the spine and limit how effectively the glutes contribute. To begin, kneel comfortably on the floor with your knees about hip-width apart. Keep your upper body tall and relaxed. From this position, gently sit your hips back toward your heels. Then slowly press your hips forward until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Focus on using your glutes to guide the movement forward. Keep the motion controlled and avoid leaning backward or arching your lower back. Pause briefly, then return to the starting position with the same level of control. This movement helps your body reconnect strength with function. Over time, standing feels smoother, posture becomes more natural, and everyday movement feels more supported. As everything comes together, one message becomes clear: lasting progress does not come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things consistently. The routine you have just learned is simple by design. It does not require long sessions or intense effort. In fact, it can be completed in just a few minutes each day, making it easier to stay consistent over time. What matters most is how you move. Slow, controlled repetitions allow your body to understand and reinforce better patterns. Paying attention to alignment, breathing, and muscle engagement helps ensure that each movement has purpose. There is no need to rush or push beyond what feels comfortable. Staying within a pain-free range is always the priority. Alongside movement, daily habits also play an important role. Rest supports recovery. Balanced nutrition provides the building blocks your body needs. Staying hydrated helps maintain overall function. These small choices, repeated day after day, create a strong foundation for improvement. The goal is not to chase a younger version of yourself. It is to support the body you have today so it can continue to serve you well. Strength, balance, and confidence are not limited by age. They are built through steady and thoughtful practice. If you found this helpful, take a moment to reflect on how your body feels and which movement stood out to you the most. Your experience may encourage someone else to begin.